quiz tomorrow will cover lessons 8.1 to 8.3. The quiz has 10 questions. What I'm going to go through today with you are these Practice A worksheets that I posted in that quiz review assignment. So on the quiz tomorrow, of the 10 questions, there are no proofs and there are no real world examples. So for example, like number 12, you won't have a question where they're talking about the roof of something or give you a real life picture and ask you to answer the questions. So my advice to you is if a picture is not provided, draw one so you can see the corresponding sides. Also remember that sometimes the pictures, when they're drawn, are not facing in the same direction. Like for example, number 4 here. Notice that those two triangles, one is turned around. So looking at the congruency marks will help you to see what sides match. Now, also be able to understand the vocabulary when they're asking you to, for example, give a scale factor or give a similarity statement. So understand the vocabulary terms in order to answer the questions. So tomorrow, when you get a question like numbers 1 and 2, don't ask me what it means to write a statement of proportionality. You need to understand what that term means and be able to answer the question. And I'm going to show you what it means, even though I've already shown you multiple times. So, for example, number 1, the first thing we're going to do is find the scale factor. Now, when it asks you to find a scale factor, if they don't specify where it says find the scale factor from, for example here, LMN to QRS, you're going to do right over left. There's an arrow here, so it's telling you how did that little triangle LMN change into the big one. So in this case, we're going to put the right numbers on top of the left numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and check all of my side length ratios to make sure that they simplify to the same thing. And I have a similarity statement, so that will help me to see the matching sides. So LM is the first 2 letters, and I'm going to match that with the QR. So QR is here, and LM is here. So for your statement of proportionality, what you're doing is putting in the letters. So you would write QR over LM. To check for the scale factor, you do 39 over 13, reduce it 3 to 1. All right, next I'm going to look for the next 2 corresponding sides, set of sides. So my next corresponding set of sides could be using the last 2 letters, MN, and matching that with the RS. So MN is 6 and RS is 18. So I'm going to go ahead and put those 2 together. So RS over MN, and then I have to check the ratio. 18 over 6 also simplifies 3 to 1. And then lastly, the beginning and the end, the LN and the QS are going to match. So I can go ahead and match those. So this one, QS with LN. So QS and LN. And this one is 30 over 10, which also simplifies 3 to 1. So my scale factor, you can either list it as 3 over 1 or the whole number 3. So this is your scale factor. This is your statement of proportionality. And then this that I've outlined in red, this is the similarity statement where you say that triangle LN, LMN is similar to QRS. So be able to match it. If they don't give you a statement, you're going to match the size of the sides. Find the smallest side, match it with the smallest, and so on. Yes?
Do you have to do the ratio of all the sides for the scale factor?
If they told you that they are similar, then just find one. However, if you're trying to prove that they're similar, then you have to show all three sides. Does that make sense? Everybody understand the difference? Okay, all right. So number 2 is the same thing. They're just quadrilaterals. So you would use that similarity statement to see the sides that match. Yes. Also be able to find the value of x. So if they tell you the polygons are similar, you can set up a proportion. So let me go ahead and jump to number 4. So for number 4, notice I was just told they're similar. I do not have the similarity statement. So what I need to do is look at the congruency marks to see what sides match. So notice here, I've got a right angle, and it's going to match with this one right here. And then I've got this one with the double mark. So the side that's in between the red and the blue, then that would tell me that x is going to match with 15. Now, I could also find the other match. So I could highlight this angle in purple, and it'll match with this one. So the side in between the blue and the purple would be here, the 17 with the 25.5. So let me go ahead and put these all into ratios. So I have the one that I highlighted in the gray there, 15 over x. Then I could also do the 17 over the 25.5. And then lastly, the one that went from purple to red, that would have been the 12 and the 8 would be the match here. So I would put 8 over 12. Now, when you go to find the value of x, you don't have to use all three ratios. You're using only 2 of them. And since you're not using a calculator, I highly recommend you simplify the ratio first. For me, this one would have been the easier one to simplify. So I'm going to use this one along with this one. But I'm going to reduce the red one first. I can divide these both by 4. Simplifies 2 to 3. Yeah, I'm going to set up my proportion. And I'm going to do 2 over 3 is equal to the 15 over x. So then now I need to cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply 2 times x, 3 times 15. 2x equals 45. Divide by 2. And the value of x is 22.5. I could have also used the purple ratio, but because you're not using a calculator, you might not want to use the decimal. Yes. Also be able to find missing altitudes or medians. You're not going to have to identify if a segment is an altitude or a median. You're just going to have to find its length. You'll also have to find perimeter or area, depending on your version. Remember, the ratio of the perimeters is always the same as the scale factor. However, the ratio of the areas is always the side length or the scale factor squared. So let's go ahead and first find the scale factor of ABC to XYZ. I'm going to do right over left. So I'm going to go ahead and find some corresponding sides that match. So, and they gave me the similarity statement. So I can already see here that AB is going to match with XY. So AB, I need to find the length of it. Notice I've got congruency marks here. So I know that since this side right here is a 5, so is this side. So 5. So the length of AB is 10. And then the same thing here. The length of XY is going to be 30. So if I do XY over AB, I get 30 over 10, which simplifies 3 to 1. That's my scale factor. I could have also done AC, the beginning and the end, with the Y and the Z. And notice AC here is 13. And it's going to match with XZ, the 39. So I could have also done that one, 39 over 13. And I also get 3 to 1. So you can choose. If they're giving you a similarity statement, find 2 sides that have numbers. And then again, that will give you your scale factor. So my scale factor here is 3 to 1 or 3. Now remember, remember for similar figures, the angles are congruent, but the sides are proportional. So for this, to find the measure of angle X, notice my first letter here is going to be X, and the first letter here is A. So I'm going to come over here and look to see angle A is 67. So then angle X is congruent to that. So it's also 67 degrees. To find the length of CD, and CD is an altitude, I could come here, let me say CD is X, and I'm going to match it with the altitude of the other triangle. So this X is going to match with this 36. And again, I can use the scale factor. So in order to find CD, I can do 3 over 1 equals 36 over X. So I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply, and I get 3X equals 36, divide by 3, and X equals 12, which was what I had said CD was. Now, to find what we can do here, all it wants us to do is find the area of ABC and then find the area of XYZ. Then the next question wants us to find the ratio of the areas. Now, if it didn't ask us to calculate the area, the shortcut, if I only had to answer number 9, all I would have had to have done for number 9 is take the scale factor and square it. And that'll give me the ratio of the areas. But I'm going to go ahead and answer number 8. I'm going to find the area of ABC and the area of XYZ, and then I'm going to simplify the fraction. So remember the formula for area of a triangle. You can either memorize it as 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. So for the area of the little triangle ABC, I need to do base, which is 10, times height, which I just found to be 12. So base times height, divide by 2, and the area is going to equal 60. Yeah. All right, so then we also have to do the area of triangle XYZ. And again, we already had everything we needed. The base was 30, the height was 36, and then divide by 2. What I like to do whenever I do the area of a triangle question, I just take one of my numbers and find half of it first, and then I'll multiply what remains. So this gives me 540. So now I'm going to do 540 over 60. I could divide it both by 10 by chopping off the zeros. So now I'm simplifying 54 over 6. I can divide them both by 6, and it simplifies 9 to 1. So this was my area ratio, which what I already found by taking the side lengths or the scale factor and squaring it. This is the question, number 10. You will not need to do the Pythagorean theorem, so you could skip number 10 on this worksheet, because in order to find that answer, you would have needed to do Pythagorean theorem, and you won't have to do that. All of the sides will have numbers that you could put into the proportion. And again, no real life examples, so you could skip number 12. Number 11, the ratio of the perimeters is the same as the scale factor. So the answer to number 11 is 3 to 1 or 3. Then in 8.2, this learned our first shortcut. So this is going to be the type of question that you're going to see on the quiz, like numbers 1 and 2. And you're going to need to determine which one of the shortcuts you're using. And it's either going to be angle, angle, side, 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 or side, angle, side. Or you're going to say that they're not similar. If they're not similar, to back up that no answer, you have to show the work. And I'm going to show you what I mean. So for example, on number 1, in this lesson, we had only learned one shortcut. Notice I know nothing about the sides. So what I'm going to be using here is angle, angle. Now, right away, I can see that angle A is congruent to angle M because they're both right angles. In order to use the angle, angle shortcut, I need to find one other pair of congruent angles. In order to do that, I need to find the measure of angle C and the measure of angle L. So I'm going to go ahead, and I learned a corollary way back when that the two acute angles of a right triangle are always complementary. So all I have to do here is 90 minus 51, subtract, and I get 39. So angle C is 39. If I do the same thing over here, if I do 90 minus 39, you already can see that it's going to be 51. So because I can show two pairs of congruent angles, actually I could show all three, these two triangles are similar. They're actually, they are similar by angle, angle. So it's going to ask you, give the theorem that would prove that they're similar. So that answer is angle, angle. Your explanation is all the work. And then it wants you to write a similarity statement. So this is where you have to match. So it doesn't matter what you start with. Try to start out alphabetically with one of them. So I'm going to start out with ABC. And now A is the right angle. So I need to put in my second triangle statement here that the one with the right angle is the first letter. Then I put B, which was the 51. So I got to put L next. And then finally the N. So you got to match it in the correct order when you write the similarity statement. Now, number 2, this is an example of a no answer. And what you're going to need to do is do the calculation to find the missing angle, or if it were sides being proportional, you would have to have shown that they didn't simplify to the same thing. So for this one, I need to add 21 and 93. I get 114. I need to add that or subtract that from 180. So angle SF is 66. I need to do the same thing here. Obviously, you can already start to see that you do not even have one angle pair congruent so far. I get 85. Subtract that from 180, and I get 95. Notice I do not have two pairs of congruent angles, so this work showing that you don't have congruent angle pairs, the answer would be no. You cannot write a similarity statement, so they're not similar. And your explanation is showing me the work of how you calculated the angle measures. Over here, if it asks you to show that these two triangles are similar, notice I've got the parallel sides. I could use this side as a transversal, which would make this angle here congruent to this one. I could also use this other side here as a transversal. And then that would make this angle congruent to this. I could also do the reflexive angle A because it's the same angle A in both. So because I can show the two congruent angle pairs, then I can say that these two triangles, ABD, is similar to triangle ACE. And my reason would be angle, angle. Here, showing me that what you could say, you could show the work here that you could not show two congruent, so there were not two congruent angle pairs.
So we need to show work for like proving if it's not similar?
Correct. You have to show the calculations. You can't just put no on everything with nothing to back up that no answer. Does that make sense? All right, so then for the next one, again, they're telling you the two triangles to check to see which ones are similar. So we have WXZ, which is this one, and they want you to compare it to this one. Notice you already have a right angle here, So because this is a straight angle, I've also got a right angle here. So all I need to do is figure out what this missing angle is up here by doing 90 minus 66. And it's 24. So I've already found my other congruent angle pair. So you would say, yes, these are similar. Again, using angle, angle. And then you would say that triangle WXZ is similar to ZXY. Now, if this does not have a little wave in the middle. Okay, do not assume that these are similar in the order that's given. So you have to double check everything. So these could have been similar, but maybe the order was XYZ instead of this. So you have to double check and match everything when you go to write your similarity statement. So just be careful. Don't automatically assume the way that it's pictured here is the way that the similarity statement will be written. And the last lesson is where we learn the other two shortcuts, side, 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 and side angle side. Now, here it wants us to determine whether ABC or DEF is similar to XYZ. So what we have to do is check all the proportional sides. So really what we're doing here is we're checking to see, is this one proportional to this, or is it this one with this one? So we're going to check. So let me do these two first. I'm going to do ABC with XYZ. So notice ABC has, it's isosceles, so 12 and will match with the 18s. Those are the two smaller of the numbers. So if I do 12 to 18, it simplifies 2 to 3. Then if I go ahead and check the 15 with the 25.2, so 15 over 25.2, if I go ahead and move the decimal point and move it here, it's 150 to 252. I can divide both of these by 2, and I get 75 over, I think, 126. Over 126. I can't simplify that anymore. So because 2/3 is not equal to 75 over 126, ABC is not similar to XYZ. So now let me check these two. And again, I'm going to check the 10 and the 18. Simplifies 5 to 9. And then the 14 with the 25.2. So the 10 and the 18 are going together. So then if I do 14 over 25.2, again, I can make this 140. And then I can divide both of these by, let's see. So I can divide both of these by 28, and it simplifies 5 to 9. So because these both simplify to the same ratio, I will say that triangle DEF is similar to triangle XYZ. Because it simplifies to the same ratio, what I used here was side, side, side. Now, also, if they give you a similarity statement, be able to find the value of X. So, what I'm going to do here on number 2 is notice they're not facing the same way, but what I can use is my similarity statement. So I can come here and see PQ and JK are going to go together. So PQ is here, and it's going to match with the JK. So I could do 4 over 8. This is going to give me my side length ratio or my scale factor. And then I could go and match QR with KL. QR is here, and KL is here. So I can either choose to set up my proportion as 3 over x plus 2 and solve this. Or I could have taken the other pair and I could have done 1/2. And you can see that the 10 and the x plus 1 will match. And you could solve this one. So you could solve either one. I think this one is easier to solve because you're multiplying that expression by a 1. So x plus 2 equals 6. Divide by 2, subtract 2, and x equals 4. It doesn't matter which one you solve. Number 3 is the same thing. You would match the corresponding sides using the statement. Now, again, you're going to get a question similar to number 4, where they want you to verify something, or they're going to just make you draw it yourself. So make sure that you are matching the corresponding sides appropriately, and then checking to see if they are similar. So let's take a look at number 4. So it wants us to check to see if these two triangles are similar. So let me go ahead for number 4, and let me go ahead and draw it and see if it does simplify to the same thing. So I have TUV, and then XYZ. So it gave me TU is 15, UV is 21, TV is 18, XY is 35, YZ is 49, and XZ is 42. Yeah. Because they want you to verify this statement. So what you're going to match is TU with XY. So you don't have to. So TU and XY, if I put 15 over 35, or let me do it right to left. So if I do 35, if you're just verifying the order, doesn't matter. So this is going to be 7 to 3. And then if you take the next two letters, the UV with the YZ, UV and YZ, you do 49 over 21, divide them both by 7, you get 7 to 3. And then lastly, you have to confirm all three sides. If it's asking you to check, then you could do 42 to 18, 42 over 18, divide them both by 6, 7 to 3. So yes, they are similar because by side, side, side.